Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1267, 1267, Tuesday, October the 20th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, before I get started on today's video, so I was reading the comments section and it appears that I may have accidentally uploaded the same video twice. I don't know if I've ever done that before, but apparently from what's in the comments section, people saying that it's the same video 2 days in a row, I can assume that that's what happened. So I apologize for uploading the same video two days in a row, or two videos in a row. I don't think it was 2 consecutive days because it was a day in between where there was no news. But there's probably an actual video that was supposed to be uploaded. I just will have to try to locate that. Don't know if it's even relevant anymore at this point. But I guess things happen, right? I'm pretty busy these days, so something like that could happen. So sorry about that. The fact is, I don't watch my videos. Okay, so I record my videos, but I don't actually watch them. So I wouldn't know whether or not I upload the same video or not. And I also have had a couple people in the last few days ask a question I've been asked a bunch of times over the years, and that is where would you go to find my videos if I get booted off of YouTube? Well, BitChute would be the place I would go. I actually did fill out the information for a BitChute account, but I never uploaded. This was a long time ago. I'm not too concerned about getting booted off of YouTube for 2 reasons. Number 1, I am delisted. I am not in the Google index because I don't advertise. If you do not run advertising on your videos, you essentially get delisted from Google. You're not in the index. So I don't show up in the Google search index because I don't run ads. Therefore, they have no interest in me whatsoever. And also, I have some people that think because I occasionally drop an F-bomb or something like that, that I'm going to get my channel pulled. Not true. When you are, a content provider and you're going through the screen where you're filling out your information, it asks you if you're a family-friendly channel. I am not a family-friendly channel, which means I can curse as much as I want, and it will have no impact. So for those 2 reasons, number 1, I'm delisted. I'm not in Google's index. In other words, think about a phone book. I'm not in the phone book. I'm an unlisted number. I don't exist, other than if you are a subscriber or if you share a link or stumble onto my videos, which will rarely ever happen. You could Google search, Spygate, Obamagate, this gate, that gate. You could any of the common terms I use, you could search on those terms, and you will have a hard time ever seeing me pop up in the index unless you've previously watched one of my videos. Then I might come up in your personal search. But as on a whole, if you do a Google search and you've never seen one of my videos before, I would never even come up in your search options. You could go through a million videos and you would never find me because I'm delisted, because I don't advertise. And the way that Google likes to punish, or YouTube likes to punish people, is by taking away their ad revenue. That's the first thing they do. They take away your ad revenue. So that discourages and gets rid of a lot of people. Or they can just ban your channel or something. But I have never, in all the videos I've done, I have never ever received a strike from YouTube or Google. I've never been contacted by YouTube or Google. I've never had an account suspended. As far as I know, I've never had a video removed or anything like that. Because I fly under the radar. And I'm still, and relatively speaking, I'm still a very small YouTuber. I'm a very small YouTuber. 1,000 subscribers or 1,200 or 30, I don't know how many subscribers I have, but it's like less than 1,500. So in the grand scale of things, with people who have 500,000 subscribers, I'm an ant. So it is possible at some point that could happen. If it does, then you could look for me on BitChute. That would be the place I would go. It would take me a couple days because BitChute, what you have to do there is you upload a video that's a sample of what you do, and then they look at it for, that takes a couple days. They look at it and they get back to you and say whether or not you're approved or whatever. And I'm sure I would be. But it takes a couple days, so it wouldn't happen in 1 day or 2 days. Probably take a couple days. And I've never gone through their format or their platform, so I'd be kind of unfamiliar with it. But I'd figure it out. But, there might be a gap in there. But at this time, I have no reason to believe that YouTube's going to pull my channel, but anything can happen, right? So hopefully that answers your question. Let's go ahead and get to some news of the day. Again, not a whole lot of Spygate news, but the Biden story is kind of related to Spygate. I don't really put it into my timeline because I try to keep my timeline strictly Spygate. But based on the fact that for the next 2 weeks or so, there really isn't going to be any Spygate news coming out, really, I don't think. It's going to be all election stuff, and it's really this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Ukraine story right now is sucking all the oxygen out of the room right now. And it has some relativity to Spygate, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. We had some good information come out today. I should say yesterday. So John Ratcliffe was on Maria Bartiromo's show, and he told her the emails that we're referring to, the Hunter Biden emails from the server. Ratcliffe told Bartiromo that these are not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. That these emails are legit. It is Hunter Biden's laptop, and these are his emails. Period. Now, based on that, the Director of National Intelligence coming out and clearing that up and saying it's not Russian disinformation, it's Hunter's laptop, and it is, and the emails, of course, are on this hard drive. These are Hunter Biden's emails and his laptop. Not only that, but he went on to explain that this was not having anything to do with any intelligence matter, because if it was, he would have been made aware of it. So the investigation, if there's any investigation going on, and there likely is, it's not an intelligence investigation. It's not. Apparently the FBI doesn't believe that it's part of a Russian disinformation campaign, because if it was, as Ratcliffe explained, I would know about it. And he doesn't know about it. He has no information whatsoever, and he would have if it were in fact had anything to do with a Russian plot, disinformation, hacking of Hunter's computer, or any type of thing like that. That would all have been flowed to the ODNI, and it has not been. Therefore, if there's any investigation going on, it's not having to do with it being Russian information. And of course, as Ratcliffe said, it is not part of a Russian disinformation campaign. It is Hunter's laptop. These are Hunter's emails. Period. Now, that should put to bed any of the questions we've been getting from the left-wing media, and it should immediately get Facebook and Twitter to stop blocking links to the Washington Post and other places that are sharing this information. But apparently that's not the case, because I just checked before I made this video, and the Washington Post, as well as many other sites which have these stories, they're still being blocked, despite the fact that the ODNI has come out and made it perfectly clear, not Russian disinformation. It's Hunter's laptop, it's Hunter's emails, and there's no, the FBI is not doing any type of an intelligence investigation. Otherwise, it would be with the ODNI, and it is not. Now, they might be doing some other type of investigation, but it's not anything to do with intelligence or the Russians, or the Chinese, or anyone else. We do know that one of the two FBI agents that came and picked up the computer for the past 5 years has been working on child porn cases. And we have heard rumors that there may be some child porn on Hunter's computer. That would be a problem, don't you think? I also heard that once the FBI got a hold of this computer, an hour after they left from picking up from this computer repair guy, they actually called him back to ask for help on how to get into the computer. That should scare you. the fact that the FBI has to call a computer repair guy to ask how to get in and open up Hunter's computer to get into the hard drive. I don't know if that's sad or exactly what that is, but that's what's being reported. Now, here's another crazy story, and I think you can figure out what's going on here. The Department of Injustice has essentially re-indicted those Russian trolls. You know, the Russian trolls who Mueller screwed around with for 2 years, only to have the case thrown out because the judge said, you don't have the evidence. You don't have it. And he threw it out, and the Russian trolls walked. Well, now the DOJ has re-indicted the Russian trolls, who they call GRU hackers, and they're telling us that they're the same ones that hacked the DNC, despite the fact that when the head guy from CrowdStrike was questioned under oath, he said he couldn't provide or verify that who it was, or if anyone, hacked the DNC. Yet the DOJ is going to go ahead with the false narrative that it was the Russians, when in fact it's never been proven who actually hacked the DNC, if in fact the DNC was ever hacked at all. And as you know, I don't believe it was a hack. I believe it was an inside job. And someone leaked that stuff from inside, downloaded that stuff from inside the DNC, physically inside the DNC. But let's move on here. So they are re-indicting these same Russian trolls for launching cyber attacks that damaged Ukraine's electrical grid and interfered in the 2017 elections there. And this is being brought by the head of the Attorney General for the National Security Division, the NSD. And of course, this guy's name, we've talked about him before, John Demers. He replaced John Carlin. So he comes in right after Carlin and continues the cover-up. Then he's deeply, deeply involved in the Ukraine hoax, which was an effort to impeach Trump. He knew everything about Russia, Ukraine, and all of it. So this guy is clearly deep state. Why he is still around, I do not know. Of course, Demers, as we mentioned before, he's a formerly he was the vice president for legal affairs at Boeing. He was a Harvard guy. He went to Harvard. He was born in Italy. Of course, as I mentioned, he had a key role in the Ukraine investigation, the Ukraine coup attempt on Trump, and which would have put him directly in play in the Trump impeachment. This is the guy who is still at the NSD, DOJ NSD, National Security Division. And he's the guy that's bringing these charges now, re-indicting the same Russian trolls. Now, as we know, these trolls will never, ever, ever see the inside of a courtroom, and he knows that. He knows that they got off and made Mueller's crew look like fools in court. You know, the attorneys for the Russian trolls made the Mueller team look like fools in court. The judge finally threw the case out. Well, actually, I think the DOJ, prior, they were getting ready to throw the case out, and the DOJ was so embarrassed, they had to pull the case and say, well, we're just not going to go forward. After the judge just basically lambasted them and made it perfectly clear he was going to throw out the case. And they pulled the case before he could throw it out. That's the same guys. So why would Mr. Demers be dropping this bullshit on us right now? Well, I think he did it so that because he knows that the corporate hack left-wing fake news will pick up on it, and they will intertwine it with their fake narrative and blend it into this, because it's dealing with Ukraine, being involved in Ukraine elections, which is, why would the DOJ be indicting Russian trolls for supposedly damaging Ukraine's electrical grid and playing around in their elections? Wouldn't that be the role of the Ukraine government? Why is the American government going to re-indict the same Russian trolls they couldn't indict before? They know it's going to go nowhere. They want to give a talking point to the left-wing media so that they can confuse this issue with what's going on with Hunter Biden and make it look like these claims that this is a Russian hoax is all true, because they can manipulate it in such a way that it looks like it feeds into this story. So by mixing the two stories together, they can use this garbage with the disinformation that they're putting out, that the Hunter Biden story is Russian disinformation. They can mix the two together, confuse the issue enough to confuse the voters for another 20 days into believing that this is just another, fake hoax, when in fact it's not. There you go. And how do we know this? The timing. The timing. Because this supposed illegal activity happened back in 2017. Now, Trump was giving a speech, and as most of you probably have figured out by now, I gave Attorney General Barr the benefit of the doubt for the longest time. He said a lot of things that sounded good, but over the past month or so, I've totally lost confidence in Attorney General Barr, and now I would just as soon see him be shown the door. I just have no more confidence in him. But Trump praised Barr in a speech in his rally yesterday, where he said that Barr is a very nice man and a very fair man, and he repeated it 2 or 3 times. And I found that to be very interesting, because previously, about a week ago, Trump dogged Barr and was even asked if he would be brought back in the second term if he won re-election. And Trump was basically negative on that, saying, well, it's too early to tell whether or not I would do that. But, clearly he was negative on Barr. But then he comes out at this rally yesterday and gives kind of a sort of praising Barr, saying, he's a really nice guy, a very nice guy, and he's very fair. He's a very fair man. Very fair man. Now, that should tell us something. That Trump has had a little change of heart in the past week or so about his feelings about Barr. Now, none of us are privy to the conversations, the private conversations that Barr and Trump have, but we know they have them. And so we really can't get to any inside baseball here and try to read Trump's mind or Barr's mind. We can't do that. We can, though, look at it for what it is, face value. A week ago, Trump was very negative on Barr, and now he's saying he's a very nice man and a very fair man. Almost as if he's setting Barr up, say, this guy's really fair. I know you're mad at him. I know you're mad at him because he hasn't, prosecuted the deep staters, but he's a very nice man, and he's a very fair man. So that tells me he's a very nice man. He wants his supporters to lighten up a little bit on Barr. And number 2, he's emphasizing, he said it 2 or 3 times, he's a very fair man. Well, what would fair mean? Equal justice under the law is what it would mean to me. He's fair. Treats people the same way. And to Trump, what that would mean is he's going to do the right thing. That's what that would mean to Trump. That's Trump think. So that gives us some need for pause on this situation anyway. But until I actually see Barr perform and produce, I'm still going to say fire his ass as soon as you get the chance. I've seen enough. Now, maybe something will happen in the next 20 days. Maybe something will happen right after the election and change my mind. But at this point, I've pulled my chips out for Barr. And I no longer have any confidence because I have no reason to. Barr, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, is a faith-based religion. And I don't have a lot of faith in anyone in the swamp. And that's where he comes from. I don't give him the benefit of the doubt anymore. There's just too many things that have happened and are happening right now that require his immediate attention, and he's nowhere to be found. For instance, you have this issue right now with Hunter Biden, the laptop, the emails, and everything we're learning, which is extremely damning. And it's not just damning about the election. even though it is election interference. But it deals with national security. And there's so much disinformation out there right now that I think that Barr, at the very least, should pick up the phone and call Christopher No Shit Sherlock Ray and say, hey, we're 20 days out from an election. If this is all legit, and this is Hunter's laptop, and the emails are legit, we need to know about it for two reasons. Number one, it will affect the election. Number two, we can't have a guy like Joe Biden coming into office when his entire family is susceptible to blackmail or extortion from the Chinese, the Russians, and God knows who else. Ukrainians, Slovenians, whoever. And I would think that Barr's absolute minimal responsibility at this point would be to tell Christopher No Shit Sherlock Ray that at the very least, because of the disinformation, because of social media blocking news stories that they shouldn't be blocking or whatever, because of disinformation or whatever, there's a lot of propaganda and lies going on. And we have an election coming up in 20 days. This is important on the national security front. It's important on the election front. That Ray needs to come out and make a very simple statement. He needs to come out and say, look, there's a lot of noise out there around this recent revelation that we have this laptop that belonged to Hunter Biden and the emails. And there's people out there saying it's Russian disinformation. Well, we already know it's not, because Ratcliffe told us. But Ray needs to come out and re-emphasize that point and let everybody know that, first of all, number one, this is not Russian disinformation. We have ruled that out. Number two, it is Hunter Biden's laptop. Number three, these are Hunter Biden's emails. Okay, so there's a lot of disinformation out there. We just want to clear up those points. Whether or not there's investigation or not, we're not going to talk about that because we don't comment on ongoing investigations, whether there is or isn't. I'll just say these things to make it clear, because we do have an election coming up and we do need to understand, what's going on here. According to the FBI and our intelligence people, not Russian disinformation, is Hunter Biden's laptop, is Hunter Biden's emails. That's it. Thank you very much. Exit stage left. That is the absolute minimum that is required right now. Because by not responding to that, that's election interference. Also, the FEC chairman should already have been on the phone to Barr or Ray or Grinnell or whoever on the ODNI, Ratcliffe, and to confirm whether or not any of this is true. Because he needs to contact Facebook and Twitter and let them know, hey, you're blocking this because you say this stuff was hacked information. It was not hacked information. That is false. You are saying it could be Russian disinformation. That is false. I've spoken with the FBI director, the ODNI. Not Russian disinformation. It is Hunter Biden's laptop. These are his emails, and the reporting at the Washington Post, as far as we can tell, and the things they're releasing are legitimate. You need to stop blocking. Or we're going to hit you with some big, 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 big fines. And maybe suspend your license. Remember, the FCC issues communication licenses. They could shut down Twitter and Facebook, which is exactly what should be happening. They want to shut down the Washington Post. They want to shut down conservative sites. Guess what? They answer to somebody too. The FCC. And the FCC should get on the phone to the Twitter and Facebook and say, either you remove those bans and those blocking or whatever you're doing, or I'm going to suspend you. I'm taking you down. Suspending your license. You got 1 hour. That's how this should be handled. And Barr needs to be directly involved in this. And he needs to have his foot up No Shit Sherlock Ray's ass to make sure it happens. And somebody needs to wake up the head of the FCC. You cannot allow this to happen. It is election interference. And again, if these are legitimate emails, then there's no way you can allow Biden to become president. He could win the election. You can't let that happen. Day one, he would be compromised. He couldn't even get a security clearance. Can't let this happen. And as soon as they were aware of this, they should have contacted the campaign. As soon as Biden said, yeah, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, they should have contacted him. They should have sent a couple FBI agents over and said, look, Joe, you got to pull your hat. You can't run, okay? We've got a computer. Belongs to your son. There's some stuff on it. It's being investigated. Maybe it'll go somewhere, maybe it won't. But we can tell you that there's stuff on there that would keep you from being president. It's pretty bad. It shows that you could be seriously compromised by several foreign adversaries. You can't run, Joe. That's what should have happened. There's a lot of things that should happen that haven't happened. And like I said, before I did this video, I checked to see, and yeah, the Washington Post, or the Washington, the New York Post. The New York Post, they're still blocked. That should not be happening. Ratcliffe made his statement this morning. They had all day. They now know it's not Russian disinformation. They know it's legitimately Hunter's laptop, and it was not hacked, and they know that too. The computer repair guy took legal possession of that laptop, and he didn't just go through it and then give it to a bunch of pro-Trump people. He tried on 2 occasions to give it to the FBI. They refused it. When they finally did come and get it, they sat on it for 6 months, and then the Ukraine impeachment hoax comes up. And this guy's sitting back watching the entire Ukraine impeachment hoax go down, and he knows that there's information on this laptop computer that would be important information to have introduced into the impeachment hearings, and it never happened. So he had no choice but to come forward. Perfectly legitimate. Now, we learned yesterday that Peter's been stroking us. Has been hired as an adjunct professor at Georgetown University. There you go. Peter's been stroking us, gets rewarded after being probably the number one most key person in the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the Spygate coup. He is rewarded with a position at Georgetown. Now, that's his alma mater. He went to Georgetown. He actually was raised, spent about 7 or 8 years of schooling, I think through elementary and junior high in Iran. His father was a military guy back prior to the Iranian Revolution. When the Iranian Revolution came, they of course fled Iran. He ended up going to college at Georgetown. But we went through his bio a long time ago. And I don't remember going through his bio ever hearing about him ever being a teacher. Not in elementary, not junior high, not high school, not junior college, not community college. As far as I know, he's never been a teacher. But suddenly, he gets a gig as a professor at Georgetown. I mean, you're talking, it's a pretty, I don't know what you consider Ivy League or not, but it's pretty damn close. If it's not Ivy League, it's awfully damn close. So what does this tell us? Why would Peter's been stroking us be offered a gig at Georgetown as an adjunct professor? It's called hush money. He's being rewarded for keeping his mouth shut and not rolling over on someone. Someone named Obama. This is Peter's been stroking us's payoff. This is the hush money. This is what he's getting to keep his mouth shut. A gift to be an adjunct professor at Georgetown. Likely he'll never ever give a class. He'll never have anything to do with it. It's just a title he's been given with a big fat check. Probably a couple $100,000 a year. To keep his mouth shut. Pete's been taken care of. Does that make your stomach turn? Should. If you're Attorney General Barr, how can you allow that to happen? Same way he allowed Lisa Page to go down to a law firm and get a job at a law firm paying about $250,000, $500,000 a year. That's the reward for being part of a coup. You get a reward for being a part of a coup now. Why shouldn't they try to rig this election? Why shouldn't they try anything? And I do mean anything and everything. Why shouldn't they? They can do anything. They can do anything they want. They could rig voting machines. They could throw billions of or millions of votes into the mail. They could try an assassination attempt. They could drop 15 completely false claims through the FBI or the CIA or some government agency. Could drop a bunch of fake information about Trump a week before the election that they know is totally fake. It will be proven that they knew was totally fake. They wouldn't worry about the repercussions of it because there won't be any. They can do anything they want. They can do anything they want. There's no repercussions for it. Nothing's going to happen. Other than they'll get, book deals, TV gigs, teaching positions at universities they'll never actually teach at while they draw, large paychecks. They'll get gigs at high-paying law firms. They'll get rewarded very handsomely for their crimes. So why wouldn't they try whatever they think they need to do to cheat and steal the election? There's no consequences, no negative consequences. The only consequences are positive. It's almost like you get a bonus for a coup d'etat, lying to a FISA court, cooking up false impeachment narratives. It's just food for thought. Apparently, Attorney General Barr hasn't considered any of these things. Apparently, the national security of the country is no interest to our good friend over there at the National Security Division. He's busy indicting 12 Russian trolls that'll never see the inside of a courtroom. While Hunter and Joe Biden are clearly demonstrating with the emails that they are completely compromised by real foreign enemies, adversaries. That's fine. It's the 12 Russian trolls we got to worry about. And then we learned yesterday that the debate commission has changed some rules, and they decided to change some of the debate questions. They're no longer going to talk about foreign policy. No, we're not going to talk at all. 2 debates in a town hall, and not a single question are they going to ask about foreign policy. You think that has something to do with the fact that Joe is completely compromised on foreign policy, and Trump has just been nominated his 4th time for a Nobel Peace Prize? Think that might have something to do with it? I think so. They've totally changed the questions that we're going to talk about. Now they're not going to talk about those anymore. Not going to talk about foreign policy. They've removed that. It's not good for Joe. They're going to talk about environmental issues again, just like they did in the first debate. So we're going to talk about environmental issues, an issue which last year, or the last 2016 election, when they asked people what issues were important to them, I believe environmental issues came up like at the very bottom of the list, like number 26 or something, out of 30 issues. No one really cares about it. But that's the issue that they're going to spend in 2 debates talking about, while they're not going to talk at all about foreign policy. Now, when the Reverend Clinton was running, her being former Secretary of State, they focused hard on foreign policy. But not with Trump, because he's gotten 4 nominations for the Nobel Peace Prize. Surprised? It's all rigged, isn't it? Talk about election interference. And, of course, we can assume that, be about 98% sure that this debate so-called moderator is not going to ask Burisma Joe any questions about the laptop, the emails, or anything else. It's not going to happen. She's not going to bring it up. Trump will. But as soon as Trump brings it up, then she's going to run counter propaganda, and she's going to say, hey, that's all Russian disinformation. It hasn't been proven that that's Hunter's laptop. It hasn't been proven that that's real emails. It's Russian. It's more Russian interference, and you and Putin are working to take out Biden. That's what she'll do if Trump brings it up. She will not ask Biden if that is Hunter's laptop. She will not ask Biden if those emails are authentic. She will not ask Biden if he is the big guy, as described in the emails. And she will not ask Biden whether or not Hunter was holding money for him. Because the answer to all those questions are yes.